When I first saw footage of Hogwarts Legacy, it immediately jumped to the top of my most anticipated games of 2023 list. The trailers promised that Hogwarts Legacy would be something truly special, and now, with 2023 in full swing and the game finally on shelves, I got a chance to find out if it lived up to the hype, and, dare I say it, whether it turned out truly magical. Developed by Avalanche Software, Hogwarts Legacy's aim is to give you the wondrous Harry Potter adventure you've always wished you could live through. From attending classes at Hogwarts, making friends, and exploring the surrounding world of Hogsmead, the developers have gone out of their way to create an adventure that truly feels like your own. Set during the 1800s, some 100 years before Harry Potter began his epic journey, you take on the role of a new student at the venerable Hogwarts Academy. Starting out in the 5th year, your journey begins with danger on your very doorstep. You're swiftly thrust into an adventure concerning an ancient form of magic that few can see, let alone wield, and a battle against those who wish to use it for ill. One thing is for sure, this will be a year to remember. As an RPG, Hogwarts Legacy aims to immerse you in the world of Hogwarts as deeply as possible. You'll get to make dialogue choices, choose whether or not to help people, and most of all, learn how to be a badass wizard or witch. It sounds pretty simple, and on the face of things, Hogwarts Legacy features many elements other open-world games already do, but it's the depth of content here that puts Hogwarts Legacy in a class of its own, especially in the realm of IP tie-in products. Sorry other movie-based games, but Hogwarts Legacy has just set a standard that'll be impossible to ignore and difficult to surpass. Your first step into Hogwarts begins with creating your own character. There are an admirable number of presets to choose from, but you can customize your character as well. While these options initially felt rather light here compared to some other character creators, Hogwarts Legacy has decided to keep the iceberg-sized raft of cosmetic options discoverable in-game instead. The opening hours are designed to teach you the myriad of gameplay mechanics and set you up with the basic spells you'll need to survive life at Hogwarts. You can, fairly early on, go off the beaten path and explore to your heart's content, but I wouldn't recommend it. Not because you'll be underpowered to deal with any threats you'll come across, but rather because you won't have the right tools to deal with whatever you may discover. Exploring too much, too soon, also means it'll take longer to get into the air with your very own broom. You see, spells aren't just for combat, but for world and puzzle manipulation as well. There's a total of 23 spells for you to pick up, though initially you can only have 4 assigned, 1 to each face button, and an R2 button dedicated to a basic offensive cost. However, as you progress, you'll unlock alternate button setups that you can access at, well, the touch of a button. There's a place and a use for each spell, and you'll discover that while exploring, though they get their most furious workout during combat. For those wary that the game might be trying to go full simulation, classes are tied to the main story and character progression, so you don't have to worry about setting an alarm clock or rushing around completing activities against the in-game clock. Classes are mandatory, but always fun to engage in. Whether you're learning how to break a shield in the Defense of Dark Arts class, or learning to brew potions, they're all necessary to progress the story and increase your spell or item repertoire. Across the open world, you'll find plenty of side quests to tackle, field guide pages to collect, and combat challenges to compete in, along with a myriad of other minigame-style activities. The bulk of them are no different from what you'll have encountered in other open-world games, but Hogwarts Legacy manages to make them feel essential by tying them into a reward system, specifically the character customization system. Kill X spiders, help Y number of students, and collect so many pages. All these tasks reward you with new visual gear pieces to make your character feel like your own, even if they're not the most interesting objectives. It's a system that more games should embrace, as it provides a more tangible in-game reward than chasing a 100% checklist just for the achievements. For lorehounds, you can consider those field guide pages a necessity. They detail important places and items in the wizarding world, and I was always excited to pick up some new knowledge about this world. I found the side quests equally important to tackle, and not merely for the customization parts they reward. They generally have some great quest givers, along with quality writing, and most of them sent me to a place in the world I hadn't seen before. The combat that breaks up moments of exploration and story may seem simple at first, but once you start to mix and match spells, you'll appreciate the complexity on offer. It's easy enough to deal with one opponent, but encounter a group of 5 and suddenly it becomes incredibly challenging. Primarily, combat is of the range variety, but you'll encounter enemies that deal melee damage as well. You can always block and counter-attack, but enemies often cloak themselves in magical shields that are color-coded, and you need to use the right color-coded spell to break them before you can deal any decent damage. Some early examples include levitating an opponent before unleashing a barrage of bolts upon them, or pulling them closer and setting them on fire. There are plenty of creative options on hand, and watching a spider screeching away from me covered in flames was always quite the sight. Now it's worth reiterating, Hogwarts Legacy throws a lot at you to do, filling up your virtual life with no shortage of combat challenges, puzzles, and exploration goals. There's so much to do that it can feel incredibly overwhelming at first, but I found it was always compelling. The last time I wanted to explore every nook and cranny of an open-world game was Assassin's Creed Origins, and now Hogwarts Legacy has given me that feeling again. Whether I was on foot, on a broom, or riding a hippogriff, I always needed to see what was around the next corner or just over the next hill. Of course, none of that would matter if the game wasn't fun to play, and Hogwarts Legacy excels there too. Nothing felt boring or like busy work, with an addictive action and exploration loop, and enthralling role-playing elements. Although not packing the most visually advanced rendering techniques we've seen this generation, Hogwarts Legacy has incredible production values and a great atmosphere. The writing, which is ever so British, is fantastic and backed up by some wonderful voice acting and supporting music. The overall high level of quality is on display from the get-go, most notably with the visuals, making Hogwarts Legacy an incredibly gorgeous, mind-bogglingly detailed game. Character modelling and animation are top-notch as well, and all the materials look fantastic. Hogwarts itself is the crowning achievement here. That's not to say the surrounding countrysides, forests and villages and hamlets are any less spectacular, but that feeling of exploring Hogwarts in all its glory, the sense of immersion and freedom, is unparalleled. Honestly, the technical prowess on display here is often jaw-dropping. Hogwarts is one of the most incredibly detailed locations I've ever had the pleasure of exploring. It's one of the most stupendously well-realized pieces of multi-level digital architecture I've ever seen. If you can imagine a sprawling edifice with room built upon room, rising into the sky, where each doorway and corridor hides new rooms or areas to explore, you'll have some idea of what Avalanche Software has created. The level of visual fidelity and detail in the architecture, from the animated bas-relief, to the haunted moving paintings, to the gorgeous stone and marble tile work, and the light scattered across them, it's insanely gorgeous. Hogwarts is full to the brim with props, overflowing in fact, and it all adds to the feeling of a lived-in environment with a long history. All the texture work and 3D modelling even holds up to the closer scrutiny. The rest of the open world displays the same level of attention to detail, from the stunning, bendy architecture of Hogsmead's village, to the cluttered shops you can explore, and even to the spider dens in the dark forest. For those interested in the technical details, on a standard 60Hz TV, Hogwarts Legacy comes with 3 visual settings. There are Fidelity, Fidelity plus Ray Tracing, and the Performance modes. Fidelity, which is how I played most of the game, runs at an almost locked 30 frames per second and is absolutely stunning, with a mix of screen space and cube map reflections. The Performance mode drops the visual fidelity a bit in favour of 60 frames per second performance. Fidelity plus Ray Tracing mode is basically Fidelity mode with ray traced reflections and a resolution drop. Unfortunately, I found this mode suffered from performance issues, with noticeable slowdown and reflection solutions popping in if you were running quickly between sections of Hogwarts. In contrast, I can't recall any significant issues using either the Fidelity or Performance mode. Wrapping up, it would be easy to say Hogwarts Legacy is a giant piece of fan service, and in some respects it is, but there's an obvious love for the source material displayed by the developers in every moment of the game. From the stunning architecture to the high-quality writing, intricate animations, and great vocal performances, Hogwarts Legacy oozes love for the wizarding world. It certainly doesn't hurt either that it's a stunning and enthralling game featuring a great story, plenty to see and do, and challenging tactical combat. Outside of finding a rip in the space-time continuum that would let you step through into the wizarding world, Hogwarts Legacy is the closest thing you'll get to being a student there. This is definitely a journey worth enrolling for. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow.